She played a clip.
It's
Oh, we
ready.
live. Oh.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good evening,
Hey.
everyone. Put It All on the Table podcast here again on Monday night. It's Jackie, the wellness advocate.
It's Jay with the ish.
Name is
I believe
Roberta. She is here too,
we lost
but
her.
we lost her.
Right.
We
But
lost her.
so how hey y'all. So I know I wasn't here last Monday and I kind of want to get everybody caught up on speed with what's going on with me. Like we all been going through some stuff. So sometimes with our topic, it do hit different because we go. So we basically make the topic based off what we done been through, or based off like what we think is need to be talked about. So I want y'all to get into. So this week is not my week. It might just be my week. Hell, I don't know, but Roberta's supposed to go come on right now, but I think we're having some technical difficulties. But I wanted to talk about how men want women to be submissive to them. But so I believe next week, Jackie, we're gonna be
Yes.
talking about that, or the week after.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's gonna be next week when we talk about how men actually want. And I'm looking for men. So I wanted to throw that out there. So if you know a man that's willing to argue with Jay and come with the ish, please, please tell him to inbox us. It's listed below. So check that out. Send me, or you can go to me my personal page, which is Jay Tobert. So and just get in my inbox, say that you are interested in and coming and arguing with me. No, I'm just playing. We ain't arguing. It's just that I just really want to know why women have to be submissive to women. And I know Kesha, she had, I think I took it off her page with this guy that was talking about it's a difference from like slaves and being submissive. So, yeah, we're going to get into that. But, Jackie, how was your weekend?
The weekend was great. It was pretty laid back. He's here with the kiddos, doing what needs to get done. Right, as a mom, we got to clean and laundry. It's never ending, right?
Right.
But yeah, but it was great. It was good. So yeah, so I know we have Miss Roberta. We're waiting for her, but I know we're having a guest speaker tonight, right? We're having a guest here tonight. And here he is. So go
Okay, there
ahead
you
and
go.
Oh, that's cute. Got the clap going.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Y'all don't judge my background, y'all. Y'all know I be coming with the fancy stuff, okay? I'm visiting my sister, so I'm not in no trap spot, so don't come for me. So make sure y'all keep it cute and classy in them comments, okay? But go ahead, sir, and introduce yourself.
yes.
I'm Clint. I am Clint Patton Sr. and I'm the founder of the Ashley Renee Hampton Foundation, an organization on a mission to end domestic violence, in which I started it as a result of my sister being murdered in August of 2007 as a result of domestic violence. I am a motivational speaker and a trauma coach. I have 15 years as a licensed professional counselor, in which I've decided that I wanted to focus more on coaching people through trauma and teaching them how to turn their trauma into triumph.
That's good. See, this is going to be so good, and this is a sensitive topic. Yes,
Yes, a
y'all.
sensitive
So,
topic. So we definitely want to give like a trigger warning, right, for anyone
mhm,
who could be
right.
triggered. Want to definitely give you a warning of that, and this is a very sensitive topic for you, and you feel maybe you can't, you don't want to be here. You can't listen to the conversation. That's okay. You can come back and listen to us. You already know that that you can come back and do a replay, but we definitely want to give y'all that trigger warning.
Yes. I want to thank you. First of all, I really want to thank you for being here because this is really touching for me. I wouldn't even say mine is domestic violence what happened to me, and I'm open to share my story, but I'm ready to get into this. So tell us, why did you start? So you told us is dealing. You start this foundation because of your sister.
Hmm.
Do you want to like elaborate on your foundation, or what
Well, I
actually
kind of
happened?
want to touch. I want to touch on something that you said.
Okay,
You
that was
said, I mean, I've been through some stuff, and I wouldn't say it was domestic violence, but I mean, so that's a clear indication that you knew something was wrong. And
right,
just because you don't call it domestic violence, that doesn't mean that it wasn't. Because domestic violence is not limited to physical acts of violence. There can be emotional abuse. There can be and it's a subtle thing. It's very subtle. Like you can date somebody, they're extra charming and doing all the right things. They're playing with the kids, make you seem like they're a good person, and they have all this ambition and goals. But then, boom, one day you're in a relationship where somebody is minimizing your accomplishment. Somebody's calling you out of your name. Somebody's isolating you from friends and family. Somebody is making you feel like you can't do nothing right. Somebody
right,
is leading you to believe that your reality isn't real, which is called gaslight. And so those attitudes or those thoughts, um, victims minimize their situations because we have this I need to be strong. I'm a black woman or I'm a woman, period. I need to be strong, and or I want to protect my husband's or boyfriend's legacy, or I am embarrassed that this is happening to me.
right.
And
See,
those are the type of thoughts that have those are the type of thoughts that have men and women in grades well before their time. Well
right.
before
See,
their
mine.
time.
The reason why I say mine wasn't I wasn't, I guess I can say that I wasn't for sure to call it domestic violence or attack, because correct me if I'm wrong, I thought that domestic violence is more so like you in a relationship with someone. Mine's, I wasn't in relationships with someone. Someone was following me and then dated and then took me out on a date and then attacked me. So that's why I said I wasn't for sure if it was domestic violence, because I be, I was told that domestic violence was more so like you're in relations with someone versus someone
So
you going to date.
stalking is a form of domestic violence,
Oh, okay,
and
so that's good to know.
domestic
I did
violence
not know that.
also isn't limited to intimate relationships. It could be a family member. It could be a mother. Listen to me clearly now. It could be a mother and a son. It could be a daughter and a mother. It could be an uncle and a nephew. It is not limited to, oh, this is my boyfriend or this is my husband. And
So is
um,
it family violence or domestic violence? Like,
domestic violence
what's the
is family
Domestic.
violence.
Domestic. It's
Domestic
all the
violence
same.
is family violence.
That's right. It's all the
okay?
same.
That's good to know. I did not know that. I thought that was different. I thought like when you fighting with your brother or mom fighting with the son, that's considered family violence. I did not know it's considered
They,
domestic violence.
you know,
That's good to
the reason you say the reason that you may have you think it is family violence because in some states they do the charge is called family violence. So you may think of
mm,
it like that, but it's domestic violence.
okay. Oh, that's good to know. Come on.
All right. Well, well, I'm glad y'all got started. I wanted you also to talk about how trauma, past trauma, leads us into relationships like that, into relationships that are abusive or toxic. I wanted you to
Well,
talk about.
first and foremost, um, we live in a society where people don't want to acknowledge that they have had something traumatic to happen. I mean, and they don't want to acknowledge that trauma has happened because it makes them feel like they're weak. But that's based on the society and the external factors of people leading you to believe that silence is strength, or the more you can hold on to is it makes it good, or relationships. Oh, if you're loyal, no matter what this person puts you through, as long as you are loyal, then you are a good relationship partner. You are, however, trauma is excessive fear after a series of events, and that could be a car accident. That could be you grieving because someone that you love passed away. It could be your dog died. It could be you got robbed. It could be that your car was stolen. It could be that someone broke in your house. Someone it could be that somebody did something to your kid, or your kid hurt his or herself. Trauma is not limited to domestic violence as well. There are several things that can cause trauma. So when you get into relationships, you have people who have unhealed trauma and they look from a lens of fear. So when you look from a lens of fear, how is it possible that you could love within that relationship? So when you jump into a relationship or get into a relationship with unhealed trauma, you there's really no love there, because there is no fear, and love for perfect love casts out all fear. And one who lives in fear lives in torment. Can you imagine a person living in torment trying to love a person in a relationship? No.
Wow.
We get caught on relationships fail due to lack of communication, right?
Right.
I get it. But no, relationships fail due to traditional trauma bonds, trauma bonding,
Yeah.
generational what would call generational curses, meaning your parents taught you these ineffective and maladaptive and negative relationship skills, and you take those skills and you attempt to make a healthy relationship out of them, and it doesn't work. So now you're dealing with disappointment. So then you have people who are in relationships feeling insecure, not because of their partner that they're with, but they have been raised to be insecure because they've been taught
Yeah.
something that is not beneficial to them having a healthy relationship.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. It,
Relationships are also traumatic. Breakups. Think about breakups. People think that, yeah, people break up all the time. But if you ever broke up with somebody, did it feel good? Did
yeah.
What type of emotion did you have when you broke up with someone, even if you were not the problem? Then
Yeah.
sometimes when people break up with people, right? They it's always got to be that the other person is the problem. So then we go to this other phenom called accountability. When you jump from a relationship to another relationship, 9 times out of 10, you're not being accountable for the part that you played in the relationship failure, the past relationship failure. So then we talk about gender rules when it comes to relationships. We have these expectations of men, what men are supposed to do and what women are supposed to do. We keep having these same conversations. Why won't men express their emotions? Why won't men express their emotions? Or when a man expresses emotions and it's manipulative, then it's like, oh, well, where did he learn that from? Also, I heard you say something about being submissive and why do we have to? Why would we?
Don't come for me.
Listen, I heard you
Don't
say
come for me.
something about
Hey,
submissive,
Don't
submission,
come
talking
for
right?
me.
about what?
I heard you
Okay.
say so.
Yeah, I said it. I
Listen,
said it. Okay.
so I'm gonna say I'm gonna give
Talk
you a
to
little.
me.
So check this out. You know why? Do you know why women end up in relationships that are toxic? Have you ever thought about that?
Let us know. Let us know. What from your point of view, let us know.
Mm-hmm.
First, they never really they don't heal either because we have this
Okay.
concept of again strong women, strong woman. They
Mm-hmm.
don't heal either. Also, I think a lot of people can agree with this.
Hmm.
Very seldom do you hear women apologize for mistakes that they've made and actually change their behavior because we live in a society where we allow our women to be entitled. And sometimes our women believe that they don't have to give love or they don't have to give anything in a relationship with their man because they are supposed to receive, right? So the truth is, men want to feel desired in the same way that they desire. They want to feel wanted
Hold on.
in the same
I'm not
way.
about to, no, I'm not about to sit here and let you do this. And
I
my
know.
topic is next week.
You know
I'm not
what?
about to.
You're
Hold
right.
on. Sis, you
Next
know what?
question.
I'm not about to let you sit
Next
here. Hold
question,
on.
because
Wait.
hey,
No,
would
you
you?
don't have to come next week. Hold on, but let me fix that. Let me comment on that now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Alright. Okay. So let's back it up a little bit. You said that. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I might, the drinks is coming through. Okay. So you said that we apologize, but we don't change the behavior.
No, I
So
didn't.
did it
Said I.
like
No, I
occur to
didn't. I
you
said
that
you. I, I said very seldom.
that's why I said, what did you say?
I said very seldom do you get women who apologize for their actions in a relationship and
Mm-hmm.
or correct the action because they not all now they have a sense of entitlement. Even when it comes to dating, you are taught to chase, right? So this is the thing, you're taught to chase. When you start chasing a person,
See, I
that
should have
person
been
would
sober.
never, huh, that person would never
I said I
respect
should have been sober.
or appreciate you, right? But this
Wait a
goes
minute.
back to
Okay.
society's view on what should happen when the truth is men and women are human first.
Yeah.
So why is it that we gotta have different emotions supposedly as a man and as a woman? Like this is as a man, if you say, you know what, I want something from my woman, then it's like, oh, you shouldn't. You a man. You should not. You shouldn't want nothing. You supposed to just give. I gotta protect, but I can't. I don't need protection. You know what I
But
mean?
I
Like
need you
I
to
gotta
speak.
protect. I gotta
I need
provide,
you.
but I don't need to be provided for. And if I'm provided for, then it's like, oh, he got to be a sorry dude. Oh, he is not the one. You can't marry. You shouldn't be taking care of no man. But a man
Don't
can
be
sit up,
biased. Don't be
huh?
biased. Remember, you're a coach. You're a
Uh huh.
coach. Don't be
Uh-huh.
biased. So when you speak on something, make sure you speak on both parts. Okay.
What
So
am I
don't be
missing?
biased.
What
Don't
am I
think you
missing?
just speaking on men's. You
Well,
speaking on man's hell, man's point of view. Come
So
on.
look at
What
my
about the
point
women?
exactly.
What
My
about
point
the women?
exactly. Look at my
well,
point though. Is
I
there
want.
so what is
Uh,
the why is it defensive? Why is
well,
it defensive? Why is it look at you? Oh,
Because
oh, look at you.
it's
Why?
not, it's not. I'm gonna tell you something. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something.
I'm
It's
listening.
not that, it's not all about the man, and it's not all about a woman. Like, I just feel like it should be equal. Like, I should not have to tell you my expectation and what I want out of you. You know what I'm
Why
saying?
wouldn't
I
you?
don't
Why
owe you,
wouldn't you?
but
Why? What is
I'm
you
your
talking about?
partner.
Why wouldn't you tell somebody your expectations if you're in a relationship with that person? Who
Why
do you? Who
why
is?
do he need to know? But
Why would
if
he?
he love me and he interested in me, he should want to get to know me. You need to, that's just like telling him, shoot, I like flowers. He gonna do anything. Shoot, is do you want what's in between my legs or do you want my brain? Because if I tell you what I like, you gonna do all those things. I'm not gonna tell you what I like so you can do all those things. That's not what I'm not about to do. You're gonna
Has that
figure
been
it out
working for
as
you?
a man.
Has that been working for
Because if
you?
you me, come on.
How's that been working for you?
It's
Nobody is
been working
psychic.
good.
Listen, nobody is psychic. How can you expect someone to know
You don't.
exactly what just because? Oh yeah, he's supposed to know because he's a man. He's supposed to know. No,
It's not. It's not
you
that
have to
he's supposed.
communicate that stuff. Like he's not going to know. That's the issue.
It's
Like
not that.
y'all want
It's
if
not.
you either want a man to open up, you want him to come to you, or you want him to shut down,
Look.
or you want him
This
to
is a.
think.
This is. Remember, this is a different generation here. Okay, so us women, we have to be protected of our heart because you still got women like myself that still been raised by grandmother. So she want a man to love her and to understand her. These men these days will do anything to get the cookie. So no, you cannot go around. So
But that
I'm
every
not gonna trust.
that's not all.
I'm
That's
not
not
gonna
every
do that
man though.
because
That's not every man.
okay.
That you do have men out there that have value and respect for themselves, right? You do have them
I
type
don't
of
like
men.
that last comment.
You do. You do have men that respect themselves, right? You do have men that have mothers, daughters, sisters, aunts, cousins that respect women in general. I happen to be one of them,
Right.
but I if I love you, I have to. I can't just sit back and watch you jump off the cliff when I know what's down there, and I know the end is coming. So I got to come pull you back. And sometimes pulling you back is holding you accountable for things that you can change too. Like we keep let's say the dating pool, right? Like, oh, it's trash in the dating pool, but it's men and women in the same dating situations. It's not either or. So when going back to trauma, you have men and women who are unhealed from trauma and don't recognize that they have been traumatized because it makes them feel like it's something wrong. So when you when you have not healed from your trauma, everything that you look at and perceive is going to be fear based. And if it's fear based, then it's hard to see when people love you or when there's someone who cares for you that really authentically cares because you're already looking from a fearful mindset.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
Okay, audience said that question for the guests. Are you currently in a relationship?
No.
Okay. So let me say this. Let me say this.
Hmm.
Um Normally when a woman go into another, this is just speaking of experience. You know, of course a woman going to go in there guarded. Of course, because remember we learning from our own mistakes from our previous
Hmm.
relationships. So the reason why I say I can't give a man all of me because that doesn't happen where, it's hard to goes both ways. Being some so it takes trust and trust is earned. Yes, trust is earned. Okay. So I can't sit here and just say, oh, this is what I mean by like the flowers and the candies and stuff. I can't go in
Sure.
there. Okay, you like, hey, how you doing? Okay, my name is Jay. Yeah, nice to meet. I like your smile. I know that something about you. I want to hear that. I have not heard that ever since my pawpaw told that to my grandmother, or
Hmm.
I have not heard that when when my mom or my dad just first met, or I have not heard that when um my great great grandmother told me that um her and her husband been married for 50 years. So
Right.
and where she explained their love, like it's times where that I can complete his sentence because I know what he's about to say, or I know that he like his tie a certain way, or he like his coffee a certain way. And you know why they know that? Because
Mm-hmm.
they learned each other.
Mm-hmm.
He noticed that when they go places or they do things, like I sit there like with, you got to learn each. Yeah, exactly. You got to learn each other. But if I sit here and I tell you everything, how would you really know me if I'm telling you everything? That's what I mean by you need to get out in here. It's so much, spontaneous, and it's so much like connection when you actually figuring out the answer. Because if I'm submissive to my man and I love my man and I want him to feel appreciative, I'm going to learn everything about him. It's not going to take him telling me, because by me learning him, he going to be like, "Oh, she really loved me. She dig me. How she find out about me? How did she know this? Because she studied you. She learned you. That's what I mean by that. Ain't nothing romantic than that. Jackie, what you got to say about that? Jackie been married. How your husband got you, boo?
Okay. I see what you're saying. So it's you learn each other. You learn what one person, what you like, the likes and the dislikes. It's not really just flat out saying everything. It's more of a conversation. You talk about it and you say, "Oh, this is what oh, what do you like to do?" And then you talk about that, and then you know and understand, okay, this is my significant other's likes and dislikes, so I know that she'll like this or he'll like this and that. So I see what you're saying. It's not just flat out saying everything. And I get what you're saying, that you also have to, it takes communication as well. You have to um, openly say if if something is bothering you, if something is wrong. You have to communicate those things so the other person know what's going on, or if there's an issue, if something. I know that for me personally in the past, I would let things just accumulate. And because in my head, I'm like, he should know these things, he should know that this is bothering me, and he should know that my expectation is this. And that's based off of being together for so long. You know me, we know each other. But once I told him everything, because once you let everything pile up, you kind of explode and everything implodes, and you have an argument starting and everything comes out. And he's like, "Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that that's what you wanted from me. And I didn't understand because we've been together for so long. How did you not know that this was my expectation for this or that?" So I get it from both, Jay and Clinton. I understand it takes communication, but it also shouldn't take having to say everything, right off the bat, if that makes sense.
Okay, so
Okay.
um, when I think about the countless of victims of people who are in abusive relationships
Mhm.
and people who are survived those relationships, and when you think about the term "learn," you got to learn each other. Um, just because you learn a person, you still learn that person from your perspective. And if you believe that you can save that person, if that person have red flags, and you learn those red flags, and you think that you can tolerate them and you can deal with them, or you can fix them, or you can turn them green, those type of thoughts perpetuate the cycle of an abusive or manipulative relationship. See, um, trauma is also a level of vulnerability, and when someone wants to manipulate you, they look for the most vulnerable person they can find. It may be a person who's just left a relationship. It may be a person who feels insecure about their weight, or and you can pretty much pick up on what type of person, it could be a man or a woman, that is vulnerable. And so um, I don't know if learning a person is, it could be cool in a relationship that doesn't have gaslighting, manipulation, or any type of emotional anything, or even physical things, right? Um, so my main thing is how do you learn to engage in healthy relationship behaviors? You have to learn what behaviors aren't healthy. And unfortunately, we have behaviors in our relationships that aren't healthy. I practiced as a therapist for 15 years. I have seen couples. I have counseled married people. I've counseled families. I've counseled adolescents, teenagers, geriatric people. I mean, I have a wide scope of practicing counseling. So the things that I'm speaking of is from experience with these couples and these humans. We're humans, and one of the main complaints is, when you deal with couples and married people, is they don't feel heard. But then when I counsel singles, right, they want to be loved, but they're afraid because they feel like they're going to be hurt again. So, what do you do to stop yourself from being hurt? How can you do that?
All right. Now, I missed some. This my little system is messing up tonight. I apologize because I was supposed to be the interviewer, but you're in good hands with these ladies. But I understand what you're saying. But I guess I wanted to know because I wanted to go back to where you kind of it's kind of the same question that you're
Okay.
saying. How do you know if you're coming from trauma? If it's healthy or not. That's what it sounds like you're saying. And how do you know? How do you get to where it's healthy? How can you look at it and figure out? Okay, now I'm going into being healthy. Where do you make that turn at? Is that what you're asking too?
So, in order to begin your healing process, you have to first admit that what happened to you was traumatic, and then you have to realize that the environment that you were placed in is not your fault. So we want to remove the guilt of the traumatic experience. And then we want to look at ways of, wait a minute, how can I take my traumatic experience and turn it into something positive or something triumphant? So my example would be August the 12th, 2007, my sister was shot in her head. I spoke to her uh, August the August the 10th. It was a Friday, August the 10th. I had just got finished playing basketball at the YMCA. I was sitting in my car and I was waiting on my shift to begin. And so my sister called. She said, "Hey, Big Clint, what you doing?" I said, I ain't doing nothing, just chilling, waiting on about to go into work." And so we started talking, and she was like, "Well, I'm going back to college, and I'm going to major in psychology." And I was smiling because that's what I did. And I told her, I said, "Well, you want to be just like your big brother, huh?" She said, "Yeah, I do." And she started laughing and stuff. So as our conversation carried on, she was like, I think, no, I was talking about, I had just bought a 40 cal. I'm telling her what color it was and how I bought the high low tips and stuff like that. Just kind of talking to her about it. She said, I'm scared of guns. I said, "Girl, you'll never see that. And you already know that. Never see it, right?" So then she was like, "I don't know why that boy got that gun. I'm scared of that gun." And I said, "What do you mean? What boy? Who you talking about? Did he threaten you with it? Did he put it on you?" She said, "No, that boy ain't crazy." I said, "Are you sure? Yeah, like nothing like that happened." She said, "No, that boy ain't that crazy, Big Clint, like that, right?" And I said, "Okay." I said, "So if he did something like that, would you tell me?" She said, "Yeah, I'll tell you." I said, "You sure he ain't do nothing?" She said, "No." So we got off the phone. I went into to work. The next morning, I got up and went to Texas. My cousin had just graduated from UNT. She actually had a degree in psychology, and so we were at my uncle's house. And Ashley called. Everybody talked to her and said, "Hey, whatever." And then she got to me, and I said, "Why didn't you come to Texas?" She said, "Big Clint, I had to work, and I ain't going nowhere without no money." I said, "All right. I mean, well, I was wanting to see you, whatever, right?" So now I said, "What you getting ready to do?" Getting ready to do. She said, "Well, I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm tired. I've been working all day." I said, hey, call me when you get back. I mean, when you wake up, I meant. So next day, I at my dad's house in my room at the time. I am asleep. I'm in a deep sleep. At least I thought I was. So I'm hearing this crying and wailing and stuff, and it just seemed like it was real. So I jumped off. I said, "What's?" And I'm thinking. I started looking behind me. And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, let me get." I got up. I opened the door, and I walked into my dad's living room, and I saw my dad with his hand over his face. I heard him crying, and I saw my stepmom. I saw my sister's mom, and I saw her sister sitting next to her. And I looked, and I said, "Why is everybody crying? What's wrong with y'all? Like, what's going on?" And my sister's mom looked at me and she said, "That boy killed your sister." And I said, "Who? What sister? Who he killed?" And so I went and got my cell phone and I dialed her number and I listened to it and I left a message, told her to call me when she get it. Then I shot her a text message, tell her to call me because just tell me what I'm hearing. It's not true. So the text message never got answered and the phone call never returned. So a couple weeks later, we had her funeral, but I went down and I found out that she was had been in an abusive relationship for at least a year or so, a year and a half, or a year or so. I had no prior knowledge to anything that was going on with her because when we talked, it was always laughing and joking, and I just never could tell that she was in any type of situation. So um, we go down to the arraignment, and first the dude got charged with capital murder and the commission of a felony, which was breaking and entering. So they gave him a plea bargain. The plea bargain was 20 years manslaughter, a $10,000 fine, and anger management. So in 2015, he did about 8 years and was released. No probation, no parole, no nothing, just free. So in 2009, I'm probably backtracking. He had his sister to call me. He wanted to tell me what happened. So he told me, he said, "Well, I we went to Jackson and we was riding back from Jackson in the car. I fell asleep and I was in the car and my wallet and my gun was gone when I woke up because I looked in the glove box and it wasn't there." He said, "I went to the door and I knocked on the door and he said he heard Ashley in the house screaming, 'You gonna quit cheating on me with all these girls?'" And he said he went in and kicked the door in and he said that when they were wrestling over the gun, that the gun went off. And I asked him, I said, "Well, what hand was the gun in?" He said the gun was in her right hand. I said, "Okay, well, if you was gonna lie, you shouldn't even call me. Like it don't make sense because there's nothing that you can say." So um, my sister is left-handed, and she had just told me that she was afraid of guns, and I already knew that. So there's no way that she would have picked any type of gun up, like at
Mm-hmm.
all. She wouldn't have picked it up. And I told him that, like, you still lying. Like, it don't make sense. Like, you're still lying. So I went through a period of anger, disappointment, feeling like I failed my sister. And then I have another sister. She was in Atlanta at the time. And one day she called me and she was crying. And I was like, "What's going on? What happened?" And her husband at the time jumped on my sister. And so here I am sitting in the same spot at Integris talking to another dude that's feeling like he's going to do something to my sister. And so I said, "Give me his number." I called him and I told him, I said, "Hey, man, I just lost a sister. Like, I ain't about to lose another one. Like, if it's something that you feel like you need to do, I can handle that. I got you. Don't even worry about it." I never forget that to this day. That man said, "If I killed your sister right now, what can you do about it? You all the way in Oklahoma." And so now I'm heated. I'm already mad. So now I'm thinking, how can I get to Atlanta in 12 hours and be back at work on time the next day? So then it dawned on me. My sister told me where she was at, and then I sent the police to do a welfare check. I did it as many times as I could until she finally said, "You know what? I'm ready to go home." So I was able to get her a bus ticket and send her to my mom's house. To this day, I don't let nobody bother my sister or talk crazy to her, nothing like that, because I'm not gonna lose another sister behind no stupid stuff like that. So 2 years I was extremely frustrated. I was angry. I went right back to the Y around the same time that I would talk to Ashley, and I was getting into it with some of the guys I was playing ball with. I was very disrespectful. I was looking to fight. Um, but then I went to sleep one day, and I was like, man, I'm either gonna plan this murder or I got to do something to make a change. When I said plan this murder, I was at the gun range every week, feeling like I needed to do something. I needed to go get revenge because the law had already failed. You know what I mean? Like there was no justice. So I'm like, no, what? I'm going to go get justice. But at the time, I had a son, and I thought about my baby boy, and I was like, man, I can't leave him out here like that. I can't leave my sister like that because now she's unprotected. My dad, my brother, like I can't do that to my family, but I love my sister too, and I ain't wanting that to happen to her. So you know what? I just decided to um, start a foundation, and I started a foundation in her name, and I've been speaking on domestic violence awareness and prevention since 2007. And I see the question on how did I heal from it. Um, every day it's a healing process. You got to take one day at a time. You got to learn how to take your trauma and turn it into something triumphant. And in my case, I feel triumphant when I am able to touch someone's life to make them leave those relationships so that their family has more time with them. I feel triumphant when I have the opportunity to tell Ashley's story because it's a story that could benefit someone else. I feel triumphant when I'm able to talk to adolescents and teenagers about keeping your hands to yourself. You know, I feel triumphant when I create things that can help someone in those situations because everyone can afford counseling, and counseling is not a fix all for those who are victims of domestic violence. You know, because most of the time you're not. Most of the time when you have that, most victims don't want to be. They don't want to share that because it's embarrassing. So what I've developed, I have a journal called The Time to Heal. It's a digital journal. Um, it's available for sale. It's $9.99, but you can access it on your phone. Like you could do it on your own. So if you know anyone who may have had those experiences, also I am available. I will talk you through any situation that you could possibly be in when it's related to like violence, domestic violence. And don't get me wrong, it's not only physical. We're talking about I got to a point to where I needed to know what happened and why did it happen to my sister? Like what was going on? Like what made this dude decide that my sister was not worth anything? So then I was like, I started to study the pathology. So when I became a therapist, I wasn't becoming a therapist just to become a therapist. I was becoming a therapist so that I know how to um, understand human behavior patterns. And when I tell you, I was entrenched in my master's program. I was entrenched as a therapist in the pathology of an abuser. So now I get phone calls from people who are asking about the person that they're dating, and I could tell them if the situation is going to escalate to something that's going to be toxic or abusive. And 9 times out of 10, the main thing that happens in those situations is manipulation. Manipulation. They manipulate. They act like they just are head over heels for you. They act like they got your best interest in mind. They act like they love your kids until the representative can no longer exist. Then you find yourself being belittled, minimizing anything that you do, making you second guess yourself. making you think that you're crazy, isolating you from your friends and families, abusing your kids, abusing you physically, emotionally, financially, and even sexually, and also spiritually. You know, abusers, manipulative people, they come in the form of pastors too and deacons. Yeah, they come in. There, it's not just a specific person. You got doctors, you got lawyers, you got people who claim they're living these. You got life coaches, you got even got therapists, you got a lot of people that's engaging in those behaviors that they have to they have to have some form of control because they can't control themselves. And it's hard as a victim to see that you can fall right back in the same trap because a lot of our victims are vulnerable and they don't realize that they're vulnerable because all they want is to be loved and not hurt in any type of relationship. So the first time they get somebody that seems safe to them, they're gonna bond to them. They're going to bond to them. And at the end of the day, people always say like, if I was in a situation, I wouldn't stay. Ain't nobody gonna hit me, and and nobody's gonna hit me, and I'm gonna stay with them. That's not necessarily true because first of all, a lot of people who are victims stay because they're embarrassed. They don't want to tell nobody they got hit by the person that's supposed to love them. And domestic violence between men and women, it's about equal. Like here in Oklahoma, there's been 110 deaths as a result of domestic violence. Of those deaths, there were 74 men who were murdered. Men are victims too. We can talk about the root. The root of domestic violence is parenting, toxic parenting. Is the root of domestic violence. What happens with little boys when a mother is calling them out of their name and telling them how bad their dad is and how terrible he is, and man, and making them feel stupid and they can't do nothing right. Society teaches you that you got to let your mom do that because she's your mom, right? And so when you tell little boys that they have displaced anger, they'll go take it out on somebody else's daughter because they're mad at mom. That's why it's important to speak life. Our girls, when dad is calling them out of their name and being rude to them, they want to please daddy. They don't want to disappoint daddy. So guess what they go do? They go look for the same type of person so they won't disappoint them. So now they're taking all kind of stuff because daddy didn't teach them that they're valuable and that they don't need to be called out of their name or hit. You know what I mean? Even whooping your kids. Whooping your kids is a form of domestic violence, no matter how you take it. I know people gonna say if it's out of love, it's okay, and it's discipline. But how can you use violence, and it is violent, because you hit another human being, um, and expect them not to use it? So you can teach a person to be a perpetrator of domestic violence, and you definitely can teach them how to be a victim of domestic violence. As a father should never put his hands on his daughter. He is the first man to teach her that it's okay to be hit when she makes a mistake. Period. As a mom, you should never put your hands on your son. You're gonna make him defensive. He's gonna want to hit first. Or he might get with a woman that hit him. And he may think it's okay because he can take it because he's a boy or he's a man. Just like there's men who are violent, there are women too. And our women need to learn how to keep their hands to themselves as well. And they need to understand that you can't provoke a situation and then become the victim. You can't be a victim and a perpetrator at the same time. Provoking has led to deaths. I mean, a lot of deaths because of provoking. But we tend to overlook provoking because you tell someone that's a human being, hey, you shouldn't react that way. But if you have somebody provoking you, you can only walk away so many times. It looked like we need to start with, hey, you need to start provoking because that leads to other stuff. Then is I provoke you and then I use the law to further provoke you or cause you harm in your life. And everything that I'm speaking about now is rooted in trauma. Tell me, I see that question. There are ways to do it out of love. I got whoopings growing up. I have gotten whoopings. I've never felt loved after I got a whooping. That ain't made me feel loved. That made me feel like, why am I here? Why am I getting hit on? Why? Why am I here? I don't know. I don't think you could whoop somebody and think it's out of love. However, you can correct them out of love. You can correct them. It's going to take patience. It's going to take being creative. It's going to take. Oh, so with my son and with my daughter, I talk to them. I've already told myself I am going to repeat myself 100,000 times until they finally get it. I love my kids. I'm not going to hit on them. I'm going to kiss on them, hug on them, love on them. I'm going to teach them what love is. And that's what I do. I do not whoop my kids. I don't. And thank God that my kids are some good kids. Yeah, they're regular, and even I get it depends on what to me is it just depends. Like I'm still gonna talk to my kids. I'm not gonna whoop them regardless of what they do. That's not gonna make me feel like I've taught them a lesson. Because again, whoopings are traumatizing too. Think about it when you got whoopings. Did you really feel like your parent loves you? Then how can you be against slavery but you use the same concept to raise your kids and you wonder why they're fearful? I want my kids to talk to me. I want them to open up to me and tell me so that I can help them, so that I can guide them. As a parent, I act more as a sensei versus a dictator. And my kids still respect and love me, just like I respect and love them. Because be I will not traumatize my kids just because I was taught to do so growing up in an environment.
Mhm.
And I know people not going to agree, and that's fine. Well, we just
Yeah.
gotta. My goal is to put kids out in this world that's going to be loving and don't have to be manipulative. That could be genuine and authentic.
Mm. Yeah, I appreciate first. I appreciate you sharing your story, because seeing that as an opportunity to say I need to do something about it, and I'm gonna be a voice and be there and educate and inform people, the communities. So I appreciate you, looking at that as a starting point and starting the foundation. Um, and I also I wish we could have talked a little bit more about the violence, domestic violence with men, because men definitely do experience it as well. So we're definitely going to have to touch on that at some other point, one of our next episodes. But thank you for everything, all the it's so insightful, like, oh, so insightful. And I think that's why Jay and I were quiet, because we were just taking it in,
Hmm.
absorbing it.
Yeah.
um yes, very, very insightful. And I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your experiences and just
Yeah,
educating us. I think you're just educating everyone. The comment section
yeah,
just going off.
mhm, yeah. You did that. You had me quiet, and Jay don't
I,
be
I
quiet for no.
I
Okay.
appreciate. I definitely appreciate the fact that you guys. I mean, you show that there are people who listen. There are people who hear, and I would like to. And for anybody that's out here,
Hold
just
on. Do
keep in
you have
mind.
a? I'm sorry. Do you have a book? Because they asking if you have a book.
Yeah, it should be a link. It should be a link. Right now, I just have a. I created a journal.
Okay.
Yes, the tell me again the name of the journal. I think
A
it's right
time
there.
to
There you
Time
heal,
go.
to heal. Okay, awesome. So definitely,
and
and
I
Is that
do
on
have.
Amazon?
It's on Lulu.
Lulu. Okay.
Okay. Oh, I see it, Lulu. Okay.
Yes.
Hmm.
Awesome.
But if
Okay.
anybody have, if they
Well,
have
we
any
running
like,
out of time.
Yes.
if they have any type of like questions, inbox me on Facebook. My name is Clinton Patton Senior. You can shoot me an email if you want. I mean, the ARH Foundation at gmail.com. You can also go check out my website at www.thearhfoundation.org. Um, if you have any questions or you need, or if you don't have anybody to talk to that's not going to judge you, that's going to hear you and have solid, loving information to get you through anything that you feel, please hit me up. I got you. I got you. All I want you to do now is take time to take time to give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. You've made mistakes in your life, and we're gonna keep making mistakes. At the end of the day, it's not about the mistake that you made. Learn from it, learn from it, and embrace the grace.
All right.
Okay. All right.
Well,
That's good. We gotta wrap it up.
Yes.
All righty.
I just wanted to
DJ
say
with the
something.
ish. Thank y'all for coming out. Go
You
ahead.
got somebody.
We only
I
got
had
2 minutes.
something to say before we left. I apologize. These everything that I got here is really messed up. But Clint, I really believe that grace is always what it is. So I believe your word gets out to who needed to hear it tonight. I think we'll be calling you back. I know next month is domestic violence month,
Mm-hmm.
so I know that you got a lot of nuggets for women and for men. So I'm pretty sure we'll be hollering at you again for domestic violence, and we really appreciate your time.
I do want to say one more thing though, and it's in reference to protection. So, um,
You have 1 minute. It's gonna
sometimes protection is a person saying, "Hey, don't go down there because this could happen." Protection is not necessarily a person taking the bullet for you or going to beat up somebody who's done something to you. So, um, protection. Just keep in mind that protection is someone who has knowledge or wisdom, and they're giving you the wisdom to keep you from going down the dead end road. So I wanted to kind of to touch on that because I keep hearing that women don't feel protected, but the women around me, you're gonna be protected. You may not think that I protect you when you think you're not being protected. If I say, hey, don't talk to this person because this is what this person does, then that's me protecting you. So I'm a preventative person. So prevention is protection,
all right,
and
y'all.
love
Have a good one.
doesn't
Cause we
hurt.
it's about to cut us off. All right.